Well, it seems everyone will be having bugbears and fears right now because Kenyatta National Hospital has been on the spotlight for the last, I should say, 2 months right now, beginning with what happened last month with the rape cases at the hospital. Right now, we know of also Prince Ouko and a raft of other issues that is coming from Kenyatta National Hospital. We want to get to hear from our panelists. What do you think about the security structures that we have within that particular hospitals? And allow me to introduce them. This morning you saw them. And we have with us the First Chancellor of KCA University. This is Professor Noah Midamba, who is also an expert on foreign or defense and foreign policy. Also, we have the Executive Director of Amnesty International Kenya. This is Irungu Houghton. We do have with us as well Dr. Mustafa Yusuf Ali, who is an expert on conflict resolution and also national security matters as well. We do have with us also Erastus Mwencha. Erastus Mwencha is the former Deputy Chair of African Union. Also, we do have with us Virunga Simiyu, who is the Executive Director of African Center for Security and Strategic Studies as well. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
All right, you've seen the story, you've heard about Kenyatta National Hospital, and of course this was such an agonizing moment for the mother who was, in the hospital. She was ill, she was not even aware that the baby had been stolen, but a happy reunion after all. Let's just begin with you, Irungu Houghton, first of all. Looking at the past month, and this, of course, Kenyatta National Hospital has been a fixture on our media in terms of security. What really comes up to your mind?
So I think, first of all, it's great that you've started this program very much on an issue of maternal health care and reproductive health rights. I think for many of us, we've been watching the condition of our hospitals and our dispensaries and our healthcare facilities, wondering whether these are really places of safety or places of human trafficking. And we've been struggling with, I guess, what we must call now baby snatchers.
Yes.
From the old Pumwani hospital days, there seems to be a resurgence. More recently, we saw the scandal, as you've mentioned, in terms of women, mothers being raped as they went down to suckle their babies.
Yes.
So this is actually a big problem, and I think Lily Koros, the CEO of Kenyatta National Hospital, needs to do much more to reassure Kenyans that people who come to our hospital seeking medical care will not be will not have their rights violated from them. I'm also present this morning to the baby Pendo and the public inquest that's happening in Kisumu.
Yes.
And I think there's much more that we can do to make to create conditions in which our young people, particularly our infants and our children, are safe.
Mm-hmm. But it seems also Kenyatta National Hospital is doing very little to, reassure the public about the security, fixtures within Kenyatta National Hospital in the first place. When it comes to risk management, do you think also they're doing a sucky job?
So there may be good intentions, and I'm sure that the management don't wish to preside over an institution that leaves children prey to baby snatchers. I think that's probably there. But I think what's important is intentions in the absence of results, and a change of culture and safety are inadequate. So intentions are probably not good enough. What we do need to see is some very quick measures that reassure the public that this will become a thing of the past, like it has previously. All
right, and of course there has been, talks and suggestions that we should just leave it as a referral hospital. That these other, medical checkups should be done within other clinics, but we should actually, because the cases also of congestion within that particular referral hospital is really, really worrying as well. Let's hear from Dr. Mustafa.
Yeah, of course, Dibal, the kind of things that have been happening at the Kenyatta National Hospital, the largest hospital in Kenya that is used by many Kenyans across the country, is something that should be checked, and actions should be taken against those who have neglected their duties. And it appears that a number of workers and leaders, those who are managing the hospital, have neglected their duties. And just coming out to engage in public relations campaign is not going to help the hospital, because we keep on hearing about new cases happening in developed countries or in institutions that are self-respecting, what would have happened is that the board by now would have reprimanded the head of that institution, perhaps even suspend the CEO there, and those that are responsible for the security at the hospital pending investigations. In Kenya, what you do is that people actually stop stepping aside and just continuing and even directing the investigations themselves and covering up. This is something that will not take this country anywhere. And it's not just the national hospital, the referral hospital. It's in many, many other institutions across the country. And we have to be serious about this country. We have to be serious on whether we really want to move forward, stagnate and pull backwards. It is a decision that the country has made. Uhuru Kenyatta made a pledge, and his legacy will be based on what is going to be done, not what is going to be said.
Thank you. Let's say from Virunga Simiyu, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Asante sana.
Yes, just a very cursory remark on this, then we move on.
No, I think the issue here is, this is symptomatic of how Kenyans manage public institutions. To me, it reflects how we take our public institutions and how our managers in public institutions take their service to the people. Because Kenyatta National Hospital, in spite of you saying it is congested, that's not an excuse for the leadership of that hospital not to tell the Kenyan people what they are doing in terms of public relations and security. It cannot be business as usual when every time we wake up in the morning there's something happening at Kenyatta National Hospital. And the biggest problem I think we have in this country, even as we talk about people being held responsible for ineptitude,
yes,
you'll always find some ethnic undertones prevailing upon decision making just because we want to make sure that our own is not removed. And therefore, at the end of the day, one, we should have expected that and have no knowledge that the security department in that hospital should have been overhauled long time. Number two, they should have come out with a very clear messaging telling the Kenyan people what efforts and mechanisms they are putting in place to give Kenyans confidence on how they intend to tackle insecurity issues. And I can tell you, I think for a fact, that what we are seeing are just a few instances that are happening. There might be a lot that we are not being told. And to me, that worries the country because, one, we don't want to hold people to account because of ethnic undertones.
Yes.
Two, our mediocrity level in terms of how you want to get to the Kenyan and message them what you are doing is very poor. And thirdly, people must be held to account, whether the government does it or not. I think as a Kenyan people, we must hold people who run our public institutions to account so that the people can start being responsible in this country.
All right, let's hear from Erastus. Welcome to you, Prof.
Well, one of the 4 pillars of President Uhuru Kenyatta's second term is health sector. And that, of course, indicates that he is very much aware of the fact that there is a challenge in terms of access, but it's not just access, but also the quality of the medical services that is offered. Incidentally, globally, health sector has always been a major problem because it's one of the rights. And where one has not seen quite a lot of work done, particularly in developing countries, to have not just access, because this is what we are looking at now. Yes, you may have access, but what is the quality of the access? And when you talk of access, it must be all round, that you would be able to see a doctor, that you get your prescription, that you have a safe environment and a clean environment in which you lie. Because if a sick nation cannot be productive, and that is a very, important sector, and more so, like Rungu was saying, you are now looking at the start of life, infant children in a hospital, that you cannot guarantee their security. It is a very sad situation. But on the brighter side of it, and unfortunately, this is a sector that has been devolved. It is at the national and also at county level. So it requires a national conversation to see that we give it the right, attention that it requires. I must use this to commend, for instance, what I've seen by the governor of Makueni, who I see has put it as one of the front burner issues. And you can see that they're making progress in terms of access. But I think the next level that we must tackle then are the issues that have just been discussed.
All right, let's hear from Professor Nomi Damba.
Well, let's look at it from a global standpoint. Well, I agree with my friends here regarding comments they have made. There are two things that is happening to our society. First of all, there are incredible number of people with mental health that is happening. I sit on the African Mental Health Foundation. Professor Ndete, the CEO, they've done incredible research, and therefore we have quite a number of people with real serious problems. Secondly, taking care of citizens is the mark of any leadership in the country, and particular healthcare. I'd like to remind the citizen that Hillary Clinton wrote a book, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. There was a time when we were all secure. Someone was always looking after the children.
Yes.
That time is gone. Secondly, Chinua Achebe wrote a book, a classic book, Things Fall Apart.
Yes.
That is happening in our society. And therefore, we need to change the way we do things. We need to learn from more advanced countries. My children were born, all of them born in America. And there is absolutely no way that any stranger can come and touch a child while the child is in the hospital. They are protected, they're well secured, and the parents have even have to sign in order to get a hold of the children. We need to move toward that. And so the health sector agenda that the president has to address mental health,
right,
and how to take care
right,
of
but
it.
just broadly, as we also winding up on this, because generally we're just looking at the management of the healthcare system, but can we also look at the whole gamut of it, where we have the stealing of a baby and people who are selling, people are stealing and people who are buying the babies as well, because I think we need to address that, because this is not a question of Kwamboka who had a miscarriage, and this was an issue of a postpartum, depression, which is not really the case. We found that we thought maybe, as you're saying, it could be an issue of a mental illness, cause of depression, the psychiatry issue, but it is not really. It is a racketeering business that is going on, and this has happened for the longest time. We've had the famous, what was his name, this particular preacher from...
We can forget it, but you're talking about Gilbert Dare.
Gilbert Dare, yes. We need not to bring up the issue of Gilbert Dare, and with the miracle babies as well. So it seems even after he was arraigned in court, he came out on bail, still the same stuff is happening. People are stealing and people are buying babies. So the question is, what are they doing with the babies? Are they raising the babies, or maybe there's a sort of human trafficking that is going on right now that we're grappling with the issue?
Two things. Dabal, I think you've raised a great point. So this is the week also that the sexploitation scandal that hit Oxfam and a few other humanitarian organizations broke. And I think for me, what I'm present to now is the tremendous work that's been done by feminist and women's rights organizations to say Me Too. So first of all, to explode the silence around abuse of women in professional spaces and also in workspaces and in camps. And I think, Deputy Chairperson, at the time that you were leading, there was you had to sort out the issue of peacekeeping troops and local population. So it is a broader issue. I think the other thing that's been very important for this period, and we'll remember this period, I think, really as being a breakthrough in terms of the silence on violence against women, is the campaign Time Is Up. And the statement that was made by Oprah Winfrey at the beginning of the year was a very powerful one, which for me left present to the fact that for men and women, but particularly for men in positions of power and authority, we have to be continually soul-searching and identifying what is no longer appropriate or what was never appropriate, so that we retain a level of conduct that creates safety in all the places that we have control or authority over. And I think that's the broader conversation But I think what you're suggesting now is that we need to also think about whether, sex, which is, has been the oldest business, they say is the oldest business in human history, whether we are actually losing the war against human trafficking.
Right.